Tejo had not slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned, his back hurt, his stomach made angry noises because he had forgotten to eat breakfast. But none of that mattered because the water recycling system on level 7 was broken. And if he did not fix it soon, 300 people would have nothing to drink. He walked fast through the crowded halls of Galactic Station Orion 7, his eyes fixed on the datapad in his hands. Numbers and diagrams filled the screen. He tried to understand why the pump kept failing. Was it the pressure valve? The filter system? Maybe both? The station was busy today. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved through the corridors. Tall ones, short ones, ones with 4 arms, ones with no arms at all. Tejo did not pay attention to any of them. He had learned long ago that looking at aliens was a waste of time. They never looked back at humans anyway. To most species in the galaxy, humans were small, weak, and unimportant. They lived short lives and died easily. Nobody cared about them. Tejo was fine with that. He just wanted to do his job and go to sleep. He turned a corner and walked even faster. The repair site was close now. Just 2 more corridors and he would be there. He could already imagine the broken pump waiting for him, leaking dirty water all over the floor. Another mess to clean, another problem to solve. Another day in the life of a human engineer on a station full of aliens who thought they were better than him. He did not see the woman standing in the middle of the hallway. He crashed into her back at full speed. The impact was like hitting a wall made of ice. Tejo stumbled backward and almost fell. His datapad flew from his hands and clattered on the metal floor. For a moment, he just stood there, confused and dizzy. Then he looked up. The woman was tall, very tall. She had pale skin that seemed to glow under the station lights. Her hair was long and black, falling down her back like a dark waterfall. She wore flowing robes made of expensive fabric, the kind that cost more than Tejo's yearly salary. Everything about her screamed wealth and power. She turned around slowly. Tejo's blood went cold. Her eyes were red. Not pink, not orange, red like fresh blood. They glowed with an inner light that made Tejo's skin crawl. Her lips pulled back slightly, revealing teeth that were too sharp to be normal. 2 fangs, long and white, caught the light. Nightborn. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Nightborn. They were an ancient species of predators who fed on the life force of other beings. They were fast, strong, and nearly impossible to kill. They had conquered 12 star systems and ruled them with iron fists. Their nobles were treated like gods wherever they went, and Tejo had just bumped into one's backside. The crowd around them went silent. Aliens of all species stepped back quickly, creating a wide circle around Tejo and the Nightborn woman. Some of them whispered, others ran away. Nobody wanted to be near what was about to happen. The woman looked down at Tejo. Her red eyes studied him like he was an insect. A very annoying insect that had dared to touch her. "Do you want to die, human?" she asked. Her voice was cold and smooth, like ice sliding over glass. There was no anger in it, just a simple question. She was genuinely asking if he wanted her to kill him, like it was the most normal thing in the world. Tejo's brain stopped working for a moment. He knew he should be afraid. He knew he should fall to his knees and beg for mercy. That was what any smart person would do. That was what everyone expected him to do. But Tejo was very, very tired. "Honestly," he said, his voice flat, "some days, yeah." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. His exhausted brain had simply told the truth. Some days, he did want to die. Some days, the work was too hard, the hours were too long, and the universe felt too cold and uncaring. This was one of those days. The Nightborn woman froze. Her red eyes widened slightly. Her mouth opened, then closed. For a long moment, she just stared at him, like she could not believe what she had just heard. Tejo's survival instincts finally kicked in. He realized what he had just said. He realized that he should probably run, or at least apologize before she ripped his head off. Sorry, he said quickly. He bent down and picked up his datapad. I wasn't looking where I was going. My fault completely. Please don't kill me. I have a water pump to fix, and people are thirsty. He bowed awkwardly, the way he had seen other aliens bow to nobles. It probably looked stupid. He did not care. He just wanted to leave. I'll just go now, he said. And then he ran. He did not look back. He ran down the corridor as fast as his tired legs could carry him. He ran past confused aliens and closed doors and blinking lights. He ran until he reached the repair site on level 7, where the broken water pump waited for him. Only then did he stop to breathe. His heart was pounding. His hands were shaking. He leaned against the wall and tried to calm down. What is wrong with me? He whispered to himself. Did I really just say that to a Nightborn noble? He really had. And somehow, he was still alive. Maybe she had been too surprised to kill him. Maybe she had found him too pathetic to bother with. Maybe she was just having a good day and decided to let the stupid human live. Whatever the reason, Tejo decided not to question it. He was alive. That was enough. He would fix the water pump, go to sleep, and forget this ever happened. He got to work. Meanwhile, Lady Vel stood in the corridor, completely still. The crowd had returned to normal around her. Aliens walked past, giving her respectful bows and wide spaces. But she did not notice any of them. She was thinking about the human. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever responded to her death threat with such honesty, such tiredness, such complete lack of fear. Some days, yeah, the words echoed in her mind. She did not understand. Humans were supposed to be weak and afraid. They were supposed to beg and cry and run away. This human had done none of those things. He had just answered her question, like she was a normal person, like her threat meant nothing. It was strange. It was confusing. It was interesting. Lady Vel smiled slowly. Her fangs gleamed in the light. Interesting, she whispered. She turned and walked away, her dark robes flowing behind her. But her mind stayed on the tired human with the broken datapad and the honest eyes. She would find out more about him. She had nothing but time. Lady Vele had lived for 400 years. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had watched stars die and new ones be born. She had met millions of beings from thousands of different species. Nothing surprised her anymore. Until now. She sat in her private quarters on the upper levels of Galactic Station Orion 7. These rooms were reserved for nobles and diplomats. The walls were decorated with expensive art. The furniture was made from rare woods imported from distant planets. Everything was beautiful and perfect. But Vele did not care about any of it. She was looking at a holographic screen floating in front of her. On the screen was a picture of a human male. His name was Kim Tejo. He was 26 years old. He worked as an engineer in the station's maintenance department. That was all the official records said about him. But Vele wanted to know more. She had spent the last 3 days gathering information about this strange human. She had accessed station databases. She had watched security recordings. She had even bribed a few workers to tell her about him. What she learned was ordinary. Tejo woke up early every day. He ate cheap food from the station cafeteria. He worked long shifts, sometimes 18 hours without rest. He fixed things that were broken: pipes, pumps, electrical systems, air filters. He fixed everything the station needed him to fix. He had one friend, a human female named Yuna, who worked in the same department. They ate lunch together when they had time. They complained about their boss. They laughed at jokes that Vele did not understand. That was it. That was his whole life. He was nobody, a small human doing a small job on a small station in the middle of nowhere. He had no power, no wealth, no importance. By all standards of the galaxy, he was worthless. And yet Vele could not stop thinking about him. Some days, yeah, those words kept repeating in her mind. She had threatened to kill him, and he had basically agreed. Not because he was brave, Not because he was stupid, but because he was tired. So tired that death seemed like a reasonable option. How could someone live like that? How could someone work so hard and care so little about their own life? Vele did not understand, and she hated not understanding things. She closed the holographic screen and stood up. She had made a decision. She would observe this human more closely. She would watch him and study him until she understood what made him different. It was a strange thing for a noble of the Crimson Court to do, but Vele did not care. She was curious, and curiosity was the only thing that made immortality bearable. She left her quarters and walked toward the lower levels of the station. The engineering bay was loud and dirty. Machines hummed and clanked. Workers shouted at each other over the noise. The air smelled like oil and metal. It was the opposite of Vele's beautiful quarters. She hated it, but she stayed anyway, hiding in the shadows near the entrance. Her species was good at hiding. The Nightborn could move without making sound and blend into darkness like ghosts. No one noticed her standing there, watching. Tejo was working on a large machine in the center of the bay. He was covered in grease and sweat. His hair was messy. His uniform was stained. He looked terrible. But his hands moved with skill and confidence. He knew exactly what he was doing. Every movement was precise and purposeful. When he finished one task, he immediately moved to the next. He did not waste time or energy. Vele found herself impressed, despite herself. "Hey, Tejo!" a voice called out. A young woman walked over to him. She was also human, with short hair and a friendly smile. This was Yuna, his friend. "What?" Tejo did not look up from his work. "Did you eat today?" "I ate yesterday." "That doesn't count. Come on, take a break. You look like you're about to die." "Can't. The air circulation on level 3 is making weird noises. If I don't check it, people might suffocate." "People can wait 10 minutes while you eat a sandwich." Tejo finally looked up. He stared at Yuna for a moment, then sighed. "Fine. 10 minutes." They walked together toward a small break room nearby. Vele followed them silently, keeping to the shadows. In the break room, Tejo sat down heavily on a plastic chair. Yuna handed him a wrapped sandwich and a bottle of water. He ate quickly, like someone who had forgotten what food tasted like. "So," Yuna said, sitting across from him, "I heard something interesting." I heard that you bumped into a Nightborn noble 3 days ago." Tejo stopped chewing. "And I heard," Yuna continued, "that she threatened to kill you." Tejo swallowed slowly. "Where did you hear that?" "Everyone is talking about it. The whole station knows. They say you insulted her or something. They say she's going to hunt you down and drain your life force." "Great. That's great." "Tejo, what happened? What did you say to her?" Tejo was quiet for a moment. Then he shrugged. "She asked if I wanted to die. I said, sometimes, yeah." Yuna stared at him. "You? What?" "I was tired. I wasn't thinking." "You told a Nightborn noble that you wanted to die?" "I told her that sometimes I want to die." "There's a difference." "There's no difference. She's going to kill you." Tejo took another bite of his sandwich. "If she wanted to kill me, she would have done it already. It's been 3 days. I think I'm safe." Yuna shook her head slowly. She looked like she could not believe what she was hearing. "You're insane. You know that, right? Completely insane." "Maybe, but I'm also very good at fixing water pumps, so the station needs me alive." In the shadows, Vele listened to every word. She watched Tejo eat his sandwich like nothing was wrong. She watched him joke with his friend about his own possible death. He truly did not care. It was not bravery. It was something else. Something Vele had never seen before. Humans lived such short lives. 80 years at most. That was nothing compared to the centuries that Nightborn lived. To Vele, 80 years was like a single breath. Maybe that was why this human was so different. Maybe living such a short life taught him not to fear death. Maybe it taught him to value his time so much that he could not waste it on being afraid. Or maybe he was just crazy. Either way, Vele wanted to know more. She watched Tejo finish his sandwich and return to work. She watched him fix the air circulation system and 3 other machines. She watched him work until the station lights dimmed for the night cycle. Then she returned to her quarters, her mind full of questions. She would continue watching him tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. For the first time in 100 years, Lady Veli of the Crimson Court had found something interesting. She was not going to let it go. 2 weeks had passed since the collision in the corridor. Tejo had almost forgotten about it. He had too many other things to worry about. Broken machines, leaking pipes, angry supervisors. His life was a never-ending cycle of problems that needed fixing. Today, he was working in the lower maintenance tunnels. These tunnels ran beneath the station like blood vessels. They carried power cables, water pipes, and air ducts to every part of the station. Nobody came down here except engineers and maintenance workers. It was dark and quiet. The only light came from small lamps on the walls. The only sound was the hum of electricity and the drip of water from somewhere far away. Tejo liked working down here. It was peaceful. No crowds, no noise, no aliens looking down at him like he was worthless. Just him and the machines. He was kneeling next to a power junction, checking the connections. Some of the wires were old and needed replacing. It was boring work, but necessary. He heard footsteps behind him. That was strange. Nobody else was scheduled to work in this section today? Maybe someone got lost? He turned around. Lady Veli stood in the tunnel, watching him. Tejo's heart stopped for a moment. Then it started beating very, very fast. The Nightborn noble was just as terrifying as he remembered. Tall, pale, beautiful in a dangerous way. Her red eyes glowed softly in the dim light of the tunnel. She wore the same dark robes from before. She looked like a ghost from a nightmare. Tejo said. His brain was not working properly. Hello? Vele tilted her head slightly. She studied him like a scientist studying a strange insect. You are not afraid, she said. It was not a question. Tejo thought about that. Was he afraid? His heart was racing. His hands were sweating. But he did not feel the cold terror that he expected. I'm a little nervous, he admitted. But you haven't tried to kill me yet, so I'm probably okay. I have killed beings for much smaller offenses than bumping into me. I believe you. And yet you are still calm. I'm very tired. Being calm takes less energy than panicking. Vele was silent for a moment. She seemed to be thinking about his answer. I have been watching you, she finally said. Tejo blinked. What? For the past 2 weeks, I have observed your work, your routines, your conversations with your friend. That should have been creepy. Actually, it was very creepy, but Tejo was too tired to care. Okay, he said. Why? Because I do not understand you. Vele stepped closer. Her movements were smooth and silent, like a predator approaching its prey. Tejo stayed where he was. Running would be pointless. She was much faster than him. Humans are weak, Vele said. Your bodies break easily. Your lives are short. You have no special powers, no natural weapons. By all logical standards, your species should not have survived. We're stubborn, Tejo said. That helps. But you specifically, Vele continued. You work for 18 hours without rest. You eat terrible food. You sleep in a tiny room that I would not use to store garbage. Your life is hard and painful and short. Thanks for the summary. And yet, when I threatened to kill you, you showed no fear. You told me that you sometimes want to die, as if death was a vacation you were considering. Tejo shrugged. I was having a bad day. You have bad days often? I have bad days all the time. That's just life. Vele shook her head slowly. She looked confused, almost frustrated. I do not understand, she said. How do you live like this? How do you wake up every morning knowing that your life is hard and will only get harder? How do you keep going? It was a real question. Teho could see genuine confusion in her red eyes. This ancient vampire, who had lived for centuries and ruled over planets, could not understand how one tired human kept getting out of bed. Teho thought about it carefully. I guess. I don't think about it too much, he said. If I think about how hard everything is, I'll never do anything. So, I just focus on the next problem. Fix this pipe. Eat this meal. Sleep these few hours. One thing at a time. But what is the point? You will die in a few decades anyway. Nothing you do will matter. Maybe. But the people who drink that clean water I fixed, they'll be happy today. The family breathing fresh air because I repaired the circulation system, they'll be comfortable tonight. That matters to them. But not to you? Teho smiled slightly. I'm too tired to worry about what matters to me. I just do my job and hope tomorrow is a little better. Vele stared at him for a long time. Something changed in her expression. The cold confusion slowly became something else. Something warmer. You are strange, she said finally. Very strange. I get that a lot. Vele looked at the power junction that Teho had been working on. The wires were still exposed, waiting to be fixed. You have work to do, she said. Yeah, these connections won't fix themselves. Then continue. Teho hesitated. Are you going to stay? Yes, I find you interesting. I want to observe more. That's still creepy, just so you know. I do not care. Teho sighed and turned back to the power junction. He picked up his tools and started working on the wires again. Vele stood behind him, watching silently. After a few minutes, Teho spoke without looking at her. If you're going to stand there, you might as well help. Help? I am a noble of the Crimson Court. I do not do manual labor. Then hand me that wrench. It's the silver thing on my left. There was a pause. Teho kept working, waiting. Then, to his surprise, he felt something cool press against his hand. The wrench? He looked up at Vele. She was looking away, pretending like nothing had happened. Thanks, he said. Do not mention it, ever. Teho smiled and went back to work. It was strange, working in silence with a vampire noble standing behind him. But it was not bad. Actually, it was kind of nice. He usually worked alone down here. You know, he said after a while, you're not as scary as everyone thinks. Vele made a sound that might have been a laugh. I have killed thousands of beings across 12 star systems. Sure, but you also just handed me a wrench because I asked nicely. That's not very scary. I could kill you right now. But you won't. How do you know? Teho shrugged. Just a feeling. Vele was silent again. But when Teho looked at her, he saw something unexpected. She was smiling. Just a small smile, barely visible, but it was there. You are the strangest human I have ever met, she said. You should meet my friend Yuna. She's even weirder. For the first time, Lady Vele laughed. It was a quiet sound, like bells ringing in the distance. And somehow, in that dark tunnel beneath the station, something changed between them. They were no longer predator and prey. They were something else. Something new. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. And somehow, Lady Vele kept appearing during Teho's work shifts. At first, it was strange. Other workers would freeze when they saw her walking through the engineering bay. They would bow deeply and try to become invisible. Some of them ran away completely, but Teho treated her like she was normal. He nodded at her when she arrived. He asked her to hold tools. He complained about his supervisor while she stood next to him, watching him work. Supervisor Park wants me to fix the heating system on level 9, Teho said one day, his head inside a machine. But he also wants me to repair the water filters on level 2 at the same time. Does he think I can be in 2 places at once? Perhaps he is simply incompetent, Vele said. Definitely. But he's also my boss, so I can't tell him that. I could tell him. I could explain his incompetence in great detail before draining his life force. Teho pulled his head out of the machine and looked at her. Please don't drain my boss. The paperwork would be terrible. I would do the paperwork for you. You don't know how to do paperwork. I would learn. Teho laughed. He had been laughing more often these days. Having Vele around was strangely comforting. She was terrifying to everyone else, but with him, she was almost normal. They had developed a routine. Vele would arrive during his afternoon shift. She would stand nearby, watching him work and asking questions about human culture. He would answer her questions while fixing whatever was broken. Sometimes they talked for hours. Sometimes they sat in comfortable silence. Today, they were in the engineering break room. Teho was eating his lunch while Vele sat across from him, looking at his food with disgust. That looks terrible, she said. It is terrible, but it's cheap and it has calories. How can you eat that? With my mouth. Want to try? Vele's face twisted. Absolutely not. I do not eat solid food. Right. You drink life force or whatever. It is not whatever. It is an ancient and sacred process of drinking people like juice boxes. I get it. Vele opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. She shook her head slowly. You have no respect for tradition, she said. I have respect for traditions that make sense. Yours is just weird. Weird? My family has practiced this for 10,000 years. And it's been weird for all 10,000 of those years. Vele stared at him. For a moment, Teho thought he had gone too far. But then she smiled. You are impossible, she said. Thank you. Across the break room, Yuna watched them with wide eyes. She had seen this scene many times now, but she still could not believe it. Her friend Teho, the most ordinary human engineer in the galaxy, was casually eating lunch with a Nightborn noble. And they were joking with each other, like friends. It made no sense. Later that day, Yuna pulled Teho aside. Can we talk? She whispered. About what? About your vampire friend. Teho looked around to make sure Vele was not nearby. She had gone back to her quarters earlier. What about her? Teho, you are eating lunch with a Nightborn noble. You are making jokes with a creature that has killed thousands of people. You are treating her like she's your buddy from school. She's not that bad once you get to know her. She could drain your life force in 2 seconds. She won't. How do you know? Teho thought about it. I just know she's different when she's with me. Less scary, more real. Yuna rubbed her forehead. You've lost your mind. You know that, right? You're completely insane. Maybe, but she seems lonely. Lonely? She's a noble. She has everything. She has power and money and servants. But she doesn't have anyone who treats her like a normal person. Everyone is either afraid of her or wants something from her. Nobody just talks to her. Yuna was quiet for a moment. She looked at Teho with a strange expression. You really care about her, she said softly. I don't know. Maybe. She's interesting. Interesting. A 400-year-old vampire is interesting. Very interesting. Yuna sighed deeply. You are the weirdest person I have ever met, but I guess that's why we're friends. She walked away, shaking her head. That evening, Vele returned to watch Teho's night shift. He was repairing a broken console on the observation deck. The deck had large windows that showed the stars outside. It was one of the most beautiful places on the station. Why do you work so hard? Vele asked suddenly. Teho looked up from the console. What do you mean? You could work less. You could take breaks. You could ask for easier assignments, but you don't. You work until you can barely stand. Why? Teho thought about the question. He had never really asked himself that before. I guess. I want to be useful, he said. I'm not strong like other species. I'm not smart like the scientists. I can't fight or rule or do anything impressive, but I can fix things. I can make broken things work again. That's my value. Your value? Yeah, everyone needs a reason to exist, right? Mine is fixing things. Vele was silent for a long moment. She looked out the window at the stars. I have existed for 400 years, she said quietly. I have ruled planets. I have commanded armies. I have done everything my family expected of me. But I have never thought about my reason to exist. I just existed. That sounds lonely. It was. I did not realize it until now. She turned to look at Teho. Her red eyes were softer than usual, warmer. You make me feel seen, she said. Not as a noble, not as a predator, just as myself. No one has ever done that before. Teho felt his face get warm. He looked away quickly. I'm just treating you like a person, he mumbled. It's not that special. It is special to me. They stood in silence, looking at the stars together. Something had changed between them. Something important. Teho did not know what to call it, but he knew that he did not want Vele to leave. And somewhere in her ancient, cold heart, Vele felt the same way. For the first time in centuries, she felt warm. The ship that arrived at Galactic Station Orion 7 was massive and black. It looked like a blade cutting through space. Red lights glowed along its sides like angry eyes. Everyone on the station stopped what they were doing to watch it dock. Teho was in the engineering bay when he heard the news. A Crimson Court warship, someone whispered. Another Nightborn noble is here. Teho felt his stomach drop. He had a bad feeling about this. His bad feeling was correct. Lord Kale of the Crimson Court was Lady Vele's older brother. He was taller than her, with the same pale skin and red eyes. But where Vele had become softer over the past months, Kael was pure ice. His face showed no emotion. His presence made the air feel cold. He had come because of the reports. Word had spread through the Nightborn network. Lady Vel, noble of the Crimson Court, was spending her time with a human, a worthless, insignificant human engineer. She was watching him work. She was talking with him. She was laughing. The Crimson Court was not happy. Kael found Vele in her quarters. She was sitting by the window, looking out at the stars. She seemed peaceful, happy even. Sister, Kael said coldly. Vele turned around. Her expression changed when she saw him. Brother, I was not expecting you. Clearly, if you expected me, perhaps you would have hidden your shame better. My shame? Kael walked forward slowly. His boots made no sound on the floor. I have heard disturbing reports. Reports that you have been spending time with a human, that you have lowered yourself to his level, that you have forgotten what you are. Vele stood up. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. I have forgotten nothing. I know exactly what I am. Do you? Because the sister I knew would never waste her time with a weak, worthless creature like a human. He is not worthless. Kael stopped walking. His red eyes narrowed. You defend him? This is worse than I thought. I am not defending him. I am stating a fact. He has value. He has strength that you cannot see. Strength? Humans are the weakest species in the galaxy. They live for 80 years and then they die. They are nothing. They are more than you think. The two siblings stared at each other. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. You will return home, Kael said finally. You will end this foolishness and remember your duty to our family. I will not. That was not a request. Vele lifted her chin. And my answer is not changing. I will stay here. I will continue as I choose. Kael's expression did not change, but something dark flickered in his eyes. Then I will remove the problem myself. He turned and walked out of the room. Vele felt her heart go cold. She knew what her brother meant. She knew what he was going to do. She had to warn Teho, but she was too late. Teho was working alone in the lower maintenance tunnels when Kael found him. He did not hear the Nightborn Lord approach. One moment, he was checking power cables. The next moment, a cold hand grabbed his throat and lifted him off the ground. He could not breathe. He could not move. He could only look into the red eyes of the creature holding him. So you are the human, Kael said softly, the one who has bewitched my sister. Teho tried to speak, but the hand around his throat was too tight. She thinks you are special, Kale continued. She thinks you have some value that I cannot see. But I see only a small, weak creature who has forgotten his place. He squeezed tighter. Stars exploded in Teho's vision. I will end this now. When you are gone, my sister will return to normal. She will forget this foolishness. Everything will be as it should be. Teho's lungs burned. His vision was going dark. He was going to die here, in a dark tunnel, killed by a monster who saw him as nothing more than a problem. But even now, with death closing in, Teho did not feel the terror he expected. Instead, he felt sad. Sad that he would not see Vele again. Sad that he would not finish fixing the station. Sad that Yuna would have to eat lunch alone. With the last of his strength, he forced out a single word. Wait. Kale paused. His grip loosened slightly. What? Teho gasped for air. His voice was weak and broken. If you kill me, you'll hurt her. Hurt her? She is Nightborn. She does not feel pain from losing a human. You're wrong, Teho coughed. She'll be sad, really sad. And that sadness will turn to anger. Anger at you, at your family, at everything. Kale's eyes narrowed. You dare to lecture me about my own sister? I know her. I've talked to her. Really talked. For the first time in centuries, she's happy. And you want to take that away? Her happiness is not important. Her duty is important. Is it? Is duty more important than family? More important than your sister's heart? Kale was silent. His grip loosened a little more. You're her brother, Teho continued, his voice growing stronger. You're supposed to protect her, not control her, not hurt her, protect her, including protecting her happiness. You know nothing about our family. I know that she never smiles when she talks about home. I know that she seems relieved to be away from the Crimson Court. I know that your traditions and duties have made her lonely and cold. Is that what you want for her? Kale stared at him. For the first time, something other than coldness appeared in his eyes. Confusion, doubt. Before he could respond, Vele appeared in the tunnel. Kale? Her voice echoed off the walls. She was running toward them, her dark robes flying behind her. Put him down, she commanded. Now? Kale looked at his sister. He saw her face. He saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear for herself, fear for the human in his hand. She truly cared about this creature. Slowly, he released his grip. Teho fell to the ground, gasping for air. Vele rushed to his side. She knelt down and touched his face gently. Are you hurt? Can you breathe? Teho nodded weakly. I'm okay, just need a minute. Vele turned to face her brother. She stood up and positioned herself between Kale and Teho. If you want to hurt him, she said coldly, you will have to go through me first. Kale looked at his sister. He looked at the human on the ground behind her. He saw the determination in Vele's eyes. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Kale turned away. This is not over, he said. The court will hear of this. They will not be pleased. Let them hear. I do not care. Kale walked away without looking back. His footsteps faded into the darkness of the tunnel. When he was gone, Vele turned back to Teho. She helped him sit up. I am sorry, she said softly. This is my fault. I brought this danger to you. Teho shook his head. It's not your fault, and I'm okay, really. He could have killed you, but he didn't. I think I gave him something to think about. Vele looked at him with wonder. You argued with a Nightborn Lord while he was choking you? You lectured him about family while you were dying? I was very motivated. Despite everything, Vele laughed. It was a small, tired laugh. You are impossible, she said. So I've been told. She helped him to his feet. They stood together in the dark tunnel, both shaken but alive. He will be back, Vele said. The court will demand action. Then we'll deal with it when it happens. We? Teho looked at her. We. You're not alone anymore, Vele. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Vele felt something warm spread through her chest. That feeling again. The one she did not have a name for. Together, she repeated softly. Together. 3 days had passed since Kale's attack. Teho's throat was still bruised and his voice was rough, but he refused to stop working. The station needed him. Vele stayed close to him now. She did not hide in the shadows anymore. She walked beside him openly, letting everyone see that this human was under her protection. Some aliens whispered about it. Others looked away nervously, but no one dared to say anything. Teho found it strange to have a bodyguard, especially a bodyguard who was also an ancient vampire noble, but he did not complain. Vele's company made the long work hours feel shorter. Tonight, they were on the observation deck. Teho had finished his shift early for once. The station was quiet. Most people were asleep in their quarters. The observation deck was empty, except for the two of them. The large windows showed the endless darkness of space, filled with millions of distant stars. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Teho sat on a bench near the window. Vele sat beside him. They did not speak for a long time. They just watched the stars in comfortable silence. Finally, Vele spoke. I do not understand what is happening to me. Teho looked at her. What do you mean? She kept her eyes on the stars. Her voice was soft and uncertain. I have lived for 400 years. I have seen everything. I have done everything. Nothing surprised me anymore. Nothing made me feel anything. She paused. Then I met you, a small, tired human who bumped into me in a corridor. A creature who should have meant nothing to me, but somehow you became the most important thing in my universe. Teho felt his heart beat faster. He did not know what to say. I think about you constantly, Vele continued. When I am in my quarters, I wonder what you are doing. When I sleep, I dream of your voice. When I wake up, the first thing I want is to see you. She finally looked at him. Her red eyes were filled with confusion and something else, something deeper. I do not understand these feelings. I have never felt them before. They are strange and frightening and wonderful all at once. What is happening to me, Teho? Teho looked at her. This powerful, ancient being was asking him to explain emotions that she had never experienced. It was overwhelming, but it was also beautiful. Humans have a saying, he said quietly. The heart wants what it wants. It means that we cannot control who we care about. Our feelings choose for us. But why would my feelings choose a human? You are so different from me. Your life is so short. Everything about us is wrong. Maybe, but feelings don't care about what's right or wrong. They just are. Vele shook her head. That is not logical. Feelings are never logical. That's what makes them scary. She was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed softly. You are right. This is very scary. But it's also good, isn't it? Feeling something after centuries of nothing? Vele thought about that. Was it good? She had spent so long being cold and empty. Being numb was safe. It was comfortable, but it was also lonely. These new feelings were dangerous. They made her vulnerable. They gave her something to lose. But they also made her feel alive. Yes, she admitted. It is good. Strange and terrifying, but good. Teho smiled. Then don't run from it. Just let it happen. You make it sound simple. It is simple. Complicated, but simple. Humans have been figuring out these feelings for thousands of years. We still don't understand them completely, but we've learned to just accept them. Vele looked at him with curiosity. Humans truly are strange. We really are. They sat in silence again. The stars continued to shine outside the window. Distant galaxies spun slowly in the darkness. After a long moment, Teho spoke again. Can I be honest with you? Always. I feel the same way about you. Vele's eyes widened. You do? Teho nodded. His face was slightly red. I don't know when it started. Maybe it was when you handed me that wrench in the tunnel. Maybe it was when you laughed at my stupid jokes. Maybe it was always there, and I just didn't notice. He looked at her directly. You're the most interesting person I've ever met. You're terrifying and beautiful and surprisingly funny. And when I'm with you, I feel like my life means something more than just fixing broken pipes." Vele did not know how to respond. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever looked at her the way Tejo was looking at her now. "But I know it's complicated," Tejo continued. "You're immortal. I'll be dead in 50 or 60 years. Your family hates me. The entire Crimson Court thinks I'm worthless. There are a million reasons why this is a bad idea." "Then why are you telling me this?" Tejo smiled sadly. "Because humans don't live long enough to waste time hiding our feelings. If I don't tell you now, I might never get the chance. And I'd rather be honest and rejected than quiet and regretful." Vele stared at him. This small, fragile human was braver than any warrior she had ever known. He was facing certain heartbreak, possible death, and the anger of an entire vampire empire. And he was still choosing to be honest. That was strength, real strength. Slowly, carefully, she reached out and took his hand. It was the first time she had touched him gently. His hand was warm, so different from her cold skin. "I do not care about the complications," she said softly. "I do not care about my family or the court. For 400 years, I have done what others expected of me. I have been the perfect noble, the perfect daughter, the perfect monster." She squeezed his hand. "But you make me want to be something else, something more, something real." Tejo felt tears forming in his eyes. He blinked them away quickly. "You already are something real," he said. "You always were. You just forgot how to see it." Vele moved closer to him. Their shoulders touched. In the cold darkness of space, they created a small circle of warmth. "Teach me," she whispered. "Teach me how to feel, how to live, how to be human." "You don't want to be human. Trust me, it's exhausting." "Then teach me how to be like you, brave and honest and kind." "I'm not any of those things. I'm just tired and stubborn." "To me, that is the same thing." Tejo laughed. It was a warm, genuine laugh, the kind that came from deep inside. "Okay," he said, "I'll try. But you have to teach me something too." "What?" "How to not be afraid of living. Humans are always afraid of dying. We have such little time, and we spend most of it worrying about losing what we have. Maybe you can teach me to just exist, to appreciate each moment without fear." Vele smiled. Her fangs caught the starlight. "That is a fair trade." They sat together on the observation deck, holding hands, watching the stars. Outside, the universe was cold and endless and uncaring. But in that moment, neither of them felt alone. For the first time in either of their lives, they had found someone who understood. And that was enough. The message from the Crimson Court arrived 1 week later. Vele read it in her quarters. Her face was calm, but her hands shook slightly as she held the data tablet. The message was simple and clear. Lady Vele of House Nightfall was ordered to return home immediately. She would abandon her shameful association with the human. She would accept a marriage arranged by the court to restore her family's honor. If she refused, she would be stripped of her title, her wealth, and her name. She would be exiled from the Crimson Court forever. The message was signed by her father. Vele put down the tablet. She walked to the window and looked out at the station. Somewhere down there in the engineering bay, Tejo was working, probably tired, probably complaining about his supervisor, probably making jokes that no one else understood. She loved him. The realization had come slowly over the past months, but now it was undeniable. She loved this strange, stubborn, beautiful human. She loved his honesty. She loved his kindness. She loved the way he treated her like a person instead of a monster. And now she had to choose between him and everything else. Her family, her title, her entire world. Or one human who would die in a few decades anyway. It should have been an easy choice. Logic said she should return home. Logic said she should forget this foolishness and resume her proper life. But logic had never made her happy. Tejo had. She made her decision. 2 days later, Lord Kale returned to the station, but this time he was not alone. Behind him came 12 Nightborn enforcers, elite warriors of the Crimson Court. They wore black armor and carried weapons that could kill with a single touch. They had come to take Vele home by force if necessary. Kale found his sister in the station's main plaza. She was not hiding. She was standing in the open, waiting for him. Tejo stood beside her. So did Yuna, looking terrified but determined. "Sister," Kale said coldly, "you received the court's message?" "I did." "And your answer?" Vele lifted her chin. "My answer is no. I will not return. I will not abandon him. And I will not accept any marriage chosen by our father." The enforcers tensed. Kale's eyes narrowed. "You would give up everything? Your name, your wealth, your power, for this human?" "Yes." "Why? What could he possibly offer you that is worth such sacrifice?" Vele looked at Tejo. He looked back at her with those tired, honest eyes that she had come to love so much. "He offers me happiness," she said simply. "He offers me a reason to exist beyond duty and tradition. He offers me life. He offers you death. Humans live for 80 years. You will watch him grow old and die while you remain unchanged. Is that what you want? I would rather have 50 years of happiness than another 400 years of emptiness." Kale stared at her. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes. Pain, understanding, envy, but then it was gone. His face became cold again. "Then you leave me no choice. Enforcers, take her." The warriors moved forward. But before they could reach Vele, something unexpected happened. Aliens stepped out of the crowd. Dozens of them. Species of all kinds. Workers, merchants, engineers, pilots. They formed a wall between the enforcers and Vele. Tejo recognized many of them. They were people he had helped over the years. People whose water pumps he had fixed. People whose air systems he had repaired. People who had eaten lunch in the engineering break room while he complained about his boss. They were friends. "What is this?" Kale demanded. A tall alien with blue skin stepped forward. Tejo knew him. His name was Drell. He worked in the cargo bay. "This human helped me when my family's heating system broke," Drell said. "He worked through the night so my children would not freeze. I owe him a debt." Another alien stepped forward. A small creature with 4 arms. "He fixed the medical equipment in my clinic," she said. "He saved lives because of that. I will not let you hurt him." More voices called out. "He helped me. He saved my ship. He never asked for anything in return. He treated us like we mattered." Kale looked around in disbelief. Dozens of aliens were standing against him, against the Crimson Court, for one human engineer. "This is impossible," he said. "Why would you risk yourselves for such a weak creature?" Yuna stepped forward. Her voice was shaking, but she spoke clearly. "Because that's what humans do. We make friends, we help people, we care about each other, even when it's dangerous. Tejo is not special because he's strong or powerful. He's special because he's kind. And kindness creates loyalty that you will never understand." The crowd murmured in agreement. Kale looked at the enforcers. He looked at the crowd. He did the math. 12 warriors against dozens of angry aliens, many of whom worked in essential station systems. If a fight broke out, the station itself could be damaged. Important people could be hurt. The political consequences would be severe. The Crimson Court valued power and tradition, but they also valued stability. They would not approve of a battle that damaged their reputation across the galaxy. Kale clenched his fists. "This is not over," he said quietly. "The court will not forget this insult." "Let them remember," Vele replied, "and let them know that I am no longer theirs." Kale stared at his sister for a long moment. Then, slowly, he turned away. "Enforcers, we are leaving." The warriors followed him back toward the docking bay. The crowd parted to let them pass, but no one relaxed until the Nightborn ship was gone. When the danger had passed, Tejo looked around at all the aliens who had defended him. His eyes were wet. "Thank you," he said. "All of you. I don't know what to say." Drell laughed. "Just keep fixing our machines, human. That is thanks enough." The crowd slowly returned to normal. People went back to their jobs, their lives, their routines. But something had changed. A bond had been formed. A community had shown its strength. Later that night, Vele and Tejo stood on the observation deck again. Their spot, their place. Vele was no longer Lady Vele of the Crimson Court. She had no title, no wealth, no family name. She was just Vele now. And somehow, that felt right. "Are you okay?" Tejo asked. "You gave up everything." "I gave up nothing that mattered, and I gained something that matters very much." She took his hand. Her skin was cold against his warmth. "I gained you." Tejo smiled, but there was sadness in his eyes too. "You know, I won't live forever. 80 years if I'm lucky, maybe less, with how hard I work. I know. You'll watch me get old, gray hair, wrinkles, slower and weaker every year. I know, and then I'll be gone. And you'll still be young. You'll have centuries alone after I'm dead." Vele turned to face him. She put both hands on his face, gently, like he was something precious. "Then we will not waste a single moment," she said. "Every day with you is a gift. I will treasure each one, and when you are gone, I will carry you in my heart forever. Your memory will keep me warm for the rest of eternity." Tears rolled down Tejo's cheeks. "That's really romantic," he said, his voice breaking, "and really sad." "It is both. That is love." He laughed through his tears. "I guess it is." They held each other close. Outside the window, the stars shone in the endless darkness, cold and distant and uncaring. But here, in this moment, two beings from different worlds had found warmth. A tired human engineer, an exiled vampire noble, together. "So," Tejo said after a while, "what do we do now?" Vele smiled. Her fangs gleamed in the starlight. "We live, we work, we love. We make the most of the time we have." "That sounds like a good plan." "It is a human plan. I learned it from you. I'm a good teacher. The best." They watched the stars together in comfortable silence. Two hearts beating as one. Two souls connected across the impossible distance between species. It was not a perfect ending, but it was their ending. And for them, that was more than enough.